Hello, everybody. How's it going? So let me know if you guys can hear me at all, if everything sounds good. Test, test. Hey, everybody. Hey, Dennis. Hey, Justin. Hey, Brian. Hey, David. Hey, Don. How's it going? Crazy Joe, how's it going? Speaking of crazy, we've got a crazy show for you tonight. Lorne, hello. Otter Valley Railroad, thanks for joining us. Ethan, good to see you as always. All right. All right, so it is the last Thursday of the month. You know what that means? It's GVO After Dark. This is season 3, episode 1. Wow. And I'm the only person who didn't have to sign the contract for this. That's okay. We got him. We got Mark. He's back for another season, so that's good. Speaking of Mark, let's bring him in. He's our co-host, our resident co-host.
Got you back.
Welcome.
Thank you.
3 seasons.
It's crazy.
Who would have thought it, right? Yeah, time flies when you're having fun. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
So GVO After Dark. We've got a lot to talk about, Mark. We've got a lot. It seems as though we've got a special guest with us tonight, and I'm stoked. I'm stoked to have him here with us. We're gonna go over the show, and then we'll bring in that special individual. We've got some news about Toronto, and they're going to go autonomous. So that's pretty neat. And we're going to talk about some different products today. We're going to talk about new products that have been announced. We're going to talk about past products that are amazing. And we're going to talk about projects that are in the works, and we're going to get updates on them. So very excited for those.
Awesome.
I hope everybody is doing good today. Mark, are you excited?
I couldn't sleep last night. So excited.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's how excited. Oh, okay. Oh, that's good. That's good.
I slept in this shirt, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, man. It's a good shirt. It's a good shirt. It's a perfect shirt for sleeping in. Because we're getting started, we're going to get started here right off the bat. So let's bring in our special guest for the evening. This individual, I mean, there's so much that I could say right now, but most of it would be really embarrassing for me to say. I just find that with different companies and whatnot, everybody has their favorite, and then people, a lot of people like to, I can't even find the words right now. Like it's kind of like being starstruck without, the other person being like a Hollywood actor, you know what I mean? But they're still very much up there. Wow. Okay. So I'm going to do it. Fanboy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're both fans. I know you're a fan. Honestly, I always look forward to seeing videos and whatnot from this gentleman. Let's put a warm GVO welcome for Mr. Jordan Smith from Rapido Trains.
Hello, how's it going?
Yay!
Hey, Jordan.
Waiting for the special
Good.
guest.
How are you?
Special guest.
You are the special guest.
Awesome.
I know I wasn't in writing or anything. Technically, it wasn't writing in my book here, but still, it's very, very nice to have you here with us tonight. Honestly, you're an awesome dude, and you've done a lot of work for Rapido and with Rapido. We always see you in the videos, and it's those that we always look forward to as modelers, not just the models, but how you guys go about advertising for him as well. Right?
Well, thank you for having me here tonight. It's
really, what is your
really appreciate it.
Oh, not a problem. Not a problem. So before we get into the interview section here, I'm just going to do the news, because I do some train related news every single month. It seems to be interesting. A lot of people enjoy hearing some sort of real news about trains that are going on in the world. This one's a little bit different though, but let's see. So a new self-driving shuttle will connect residents of Scarborough to GO Transit next spring, launching as a pilot project by the City of Toronto. The City of Toronto has signed an agreement with Local Motors, or LM Industries, for the new autonomous shuttle service in partnership with Metrolinx and funded by the Government of Canada. The whole idea is for people to have the convenience of an autonomous vehicle that will just drive right by their house. It is for the area, or where they're starting is the area of West Rouge. And it was picked because of it's one of those subdivisions that has a lot of side streets to it, which basically, it might be too far for some residents of that area to walk to a local GO train. The shuttle carries up to about 8 passengers and has an onboard safety attendant to oversee operations. The shuttle is equipped with an accessibility ramp and wheelchair securement system. The pilot project is set to run between 6 and 12 months. The idea is to increase transit ridership. So you take the autonomous vehicle right from the front of your house to a local GO station, and there's no extra charge for that. And Scarborough is not the first to offer this, or Scarborough is the first, or is not the first to offer this, but it is a new first for the City of Toronto. So it's great. So they're hooking up with local Metrolinx, and you can basically get a ride from your front door to a GO train. That way you have more accessibility to the downtown and whatnot, which is perfect, because if you don't get out that much because you don't drive, or you don't like to drive because it gets crazy out in Toronto, then definitely that would be the way to go. Take the train.
Definitely.
So Jordan, we're going to be doing an interview today. We're going to interview you. Have you ever been interviewed before?
Not specifically. I know we do our live streams once in a while, but usually it doesn't get into the more personal details too much. So looking forward to it.
Sounds good. So right off the bat, what is your earliest memory of trains or railroading, anything like that?
Two things. Well, I'm originally from Peterborough, so I grew up not too far from the Havelock sub, and this is back when the dayliners were still running. So they were canceled in the part of the big via cuts in 1990. So they disappeared around then, but I do remember going down to Peterborough Station, seeing them come and go. Stuff like that. There was that, and the other one was up north of Huntsville. We have a cottage up there, and I remember the TEE Northlanders when I was like probably 3 years old, just before they started to disappear. So that's probably the other kind of really early memory I have of trains. And that's kind of where I got my love of them. So.
Were you doing a lot of rail fanning back then?
Not as much, because starting in the 90s, Peterborough pretty much became pretty dry for a lot of rail activity, and didn't get down to the city too often, so there wasn't a lot to see. Nowadays, what is it, like twice a week in each direction, something like that? So I'm in Toronto now, but so of course we get a lot of trains here, but at the time it was pretty difficult actually. So just relied on magazines and whatnot to learn. So
when it became more into the model trains as opposed to seeing the real ones, now the real ones might have gotten you interested in railroading, right?
Yep.
What about the models?
That was pretty early too. So I'm going to say 92, 93, somewhere around there. That's when I first got started. I think it was an old model power set. The Midnight Express, I think it was called. It was like an old little 040 switcher, steam switcher, and a few freight cars. And that's kind of where I got my start. And it was actually, things were pretty slow for a long time, but then I started working at George's Trains back in about 2002, and then it just kind of exploded from there. So it's really, really where I learned the trade, if you want to say, but it's been a lot of fun.
So did you start with just like a 4x8, or was it the train on the carpet kind of deal?
Definitely the carpet. Did have a 4x8. Actually, I think it might have even been a little bit smaller than that. More like probably a few feet smaller. But I had that for several years. I actually it's been actually a while since I've had my own layout because I've moved around a lot in the last maybe 8-10 years. But yeah, for years I had kind of just the basic circle, figure 8, brass track, all that stuff when I was a kid. So
nice.
Yep.
And you said that the first set that you had was the Midnight Flyer set?
I think it was the Midnight Special or something like that. It was
yeah.
I think it was based on the old Tyco toolings from back in the 60s and 70s. They were pretty common back then. I mean, it sounded like a coffee grinder, but it was a good place to start. So it was lots of fun. Always enjoyed it.
Do you still have it? That's the thing. Do you still have it?
I do still have it. I think it's actually somewhere in the office here. I'd have to dig it out, but I do still have most of it around. I couldn't get rid of it.
Yeah, no, you tend to hang on to at least one or two from your childhood and whatnot, and then when you compare them to the models of today, how much they've advanced over the years, it's crazy. There's a huge difference. Even just the inner workings of it, it gets crazy.
Yeah, we come from like pancake motors and stuff like that, so it's light years difference almost.
What about family? Has your family had any influence in your hobby?
Surprisingly, I kind of did everything on my own. They were all more into hockey and sports and stuff like that, so I kind of did my train thing, and they did the sports. I mean, I was into, like, before I was into trains, I was into boats, like ships and stuff like that, like big ocean liners from the 1920s. It was because I guess that's what most kids are doing when they're 10. But, but I was doing that.
So like a boat in a bottle, or like a remote control?
Oh, just like plastic ship models and stuff like that. But I had like a whole library of just books about ships.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
It's different, but yeah.
You don't see too much of that anymore. Like you'll get like the tanks and war memorabilia, obviously trains, planes, sometimes. Ships is a very, I feel like those would be really hard to do, those kits.
Oh yeah, like we've got guys here, Dave. He's one of our warranty techs. He's a tank guy, tanks and planes, World War II, that kind of stuff, and he's an expert at that kind of stuff, model building wise.
So when it comes to the hobby, who do you find that inspires you the most?
Oh, a lot of people. Geez, I'd have to go way back for that. I'd have to try and remember what some of the names were. If you go back to a lot of the great model railroads, the MR yearly issues that came out, well, they still make them actually, but I'm trying to think of some of the names, like the Tony Coasters and stuff like that. Like he did his, I think it was like the Allegheny Midland. It was really like his kind of thing back in the 90s. There was that. There's a few other ones. A lot of that stuff that you like, a lot of those GMR layouts that you saw back then, that's really where I kind of got inspired. Some of the really good modelers from back in the day. And most of them are still around too. So.
So when it comes to trains, what's it going to be? Is it steam or diesel?
Definitely diesel. I've kind of wandered a bit. I was mostly doing Canadian stuff, but now I've really gotten into late 70s, early 80s American stuff. So a lot of the Penn Central equipment, Conrail, Southern Pacific, Santa Fe, of course Amtrak, as you can see behind me here. So that's kind of, it's a bit different for Ontario. Like you don't see a lot of Canadians modeling the States. There are some, but it's not as common. So it makes it a little bit different.
And then there's some Americans out there that are actually huge into like Via Rail and the Canadian models as well. So it's nice when you can be diverse about it and you can run a little bit of everything. I get so stuck in my ways sometimes, and it has to be Via, or it has to be CN or whatever, So it's good to mix it up a little bit for sure.
And there's a lot
no,
there's a lot of modelers in the States that are modeling Canadian stuff. There's a huge market for that. Even overseas, we have like customers in Japan, Australia. A lot of Europeans buy Via equipment or buy Canadian models just because that's what they like.
Now, most of those will buy either direct from you or obviously from some of the local shops in Ontario and whatnot, because that's where I guess the most market is, would you say?
Oh yeah, I would say probably 90%, 95% of our business is still through dealers. We do some direct sales. Obviously, most of like anything we have is available online, but we really do rely on the dealers. That's really where the bulk of our sales go to. Actually, the vast majority. So it's always good to support the dealer network.
For sure. And what are some of your favorite road names?
Well, I went over most of them already. Kind of like I said, like the SPs, the Santa Fe's, Conrail, PC, Amtrak. That's really, of course, Ontario Northland. I have always actually that was my first diesel. I had the old. I don't know if you ever had this one, the old Lifelike F7 from like 30 years ago with the pancake motor and the two wheel and two axle. I still have that one too.
I totally did. That was one of my firsts.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I got that around like 94 or something like that, 93.
So you could definitely imagine how I felt when you guys released yours. I have two now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've got like a whole bunch in my desk here. I couldn't resist. So
that was good. Now you brought some stuff to show. So we'll get into it a bit, but you've got some stuff to show us today, right?
I've got some pictures. We actually have a newsletter coming out maybe tomorrow, but I might be able to show you some of the pictures here that nobody else has seen yet.
We won't tell Jason, I promise. Unless he's watching, which I doubt. He's probably busy working on his layout anyways, but that's fine.
I'm sure
that's fine.
I mean, they're not totally assembled models, but let me see if I can show them here. Oh, now it wants me to set this up. All right. Can you see that?
Not yet.
What are you seeing on the screen there?
Just you. And Mark.
Hold on.
And me.
Let's see if this thing is working properly. Oh, that's why. Let's try this now. How about that?
Ah, okay, yeah, I see. Okay, we've added a stream here. Okay, here we go. I'm going to drop me and Mark down here so we can get a good look at this here. Oh, actually, we're going to go full screen with that.
That works.
There we go.
Got a few others
here.
Flipped here. Works out. So
what are we looking at here? This
is the D10. This is our first, the first injection samples. They've just sent us some photos of these. So this is the CPR 460s.
Yep.
These are actually going to be assembled probably in the next couple of weeks. So before Christmas, we should have some totally assembled samples to show off. Let's see if I can scroll through some of these images. Of course, there's all the boilers. You've got all the rest of that stuff. So this is finally, we've been talking about, I think we announced it like 2 years ago. A year ago, 2 years ago? Can't remember exactly when it was.
At least a year.
Yeah. So we're finally getting our first samples. They're going to assemble these and send them off, hopefully in the next week or two. So that's pretty exciting. And we've got different versions coming. So there's different classes. We've got several different body variations, early versions, late versions. So, well, I think we're going to have some running samples too. So I don't know if we'll have a video ready for Christmas, but we might have something shortly after that, probably in January. So let's see what else I got here. This, can you see that one?
Yes.
So this is actually kind of funny. This is the new SP box car that we're doing. No one's seen these samples yet. These are the first test samples that we've shown. These were an SP car, and of course this is HO scale. So they were built in the 70s. Amtrak got these in the 90s. I think it was 90s, 2000s. So this is kind of a half assembled sample. We're going to be showing those probably in the next 2 weeks. We should be getting those from the factory. What else do I have here? More photos of those. And do you know what these are?
They look like front or back walkways for a locomotive.
They are. These are for the M420s. So
the front, right?
Yeah. Any front railings. These are almost assembled now. So I think we're going to be seeing these shipping from the factory in about a month. We might actually see these by January, February. I know a lot of people have been waiting for those for a long time.
That's so meticulous.
Oh, yeah.
Really nice.
Of course.
Oh.
We haven't shown off yet either. These it's not a Canadian car, although these did run into they do run into to Toronto on the Maple Leaf, and I think you can still see them on the trains going to Montreal as well. So these are the N-scale Horizons. That's the dinette. We haven't shown these to pretty much to anyone yet. We just got these samples a few days ago. We got the dinettes. There's the interior, and this is N-scale. So this isn't our HO cars. They're actually on the way right now. The HO Horizons are actually they're in Alberta, I think, right now, on the way. But
nice.
Yeah. Got coach interiors. That's the Comet car. Got inside bearing trucks on that one. Different body shell. And I think we have actually it might be up right now. I know Jason was planning on posting the video probably in the next hour or two. So probably around the time the stream is done, that video will be online. It's kind of another little quick, goofy one. But that's that. Super close up there. And underbody. And again, this is N-scale. So we've really kind of tried to cram a whole bunch of detail onto these that you don't really see in N-scale. So that's pretty much that.
If you didn't tell me that was N-scale, I would not know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this looks like something that would have come out in HO in like the 80s or 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Like the grill work on the side of the car, or on the all the battery boxes and AC equipment, stuff like that. So that's those. Go back to the regular screen here. Now we do have another model coming out soon. We should be announcing that probably maybe tomorrow. We might have a new model coming in our newsletter tomorrow. So.
Oh, wow. I thought the next one that you'd be doing, because you guys always do a Christmas Day newsletter with amazing, every year. I'm never not impressed.
Yeah. There's going to be a very interesting newsletter this Christmas. So small little announcement tomorrow, but look for a big announcement on Christmas Day.
I'm going to make a guess. This isn't me asking you. I'm just going to guess so that if it does happen, HO Turbo. My Christmas would be a merry one, let me tell you. That's just my guess, though. I'm probably wrong, but
I know Jason desperately wants a turbo again. He's been talking about it for a while.
That wasn't a no.
So tell us what it's, because I mean I don't like my job, right? Because I don't work for Rapido. You do. So please tell me what it's like.
We are hiring.
Yeah. I mean, if I could do it remotely or convince my family to move, because I'm all the way in Ottawa, right?
Yeah.
It's a drive. It's a drive and a half to, come down to Markham every single day. But tell me what it's like for you to work for Rapido.
Well, lately it's been a little bit different because my office is surrounded by empty offices for the most part, which is nice because it's quiet, but it's also a little bit sad to see nobody around. Like there are people around, but usually sometimes there's only 2 or 3 of us in the office on any given day. But generally it's interesting. Every day is different. You never really know what you're going to be doing. I mean, one day you could be like, even now, like I'll still help out in the warehouse. So I could be working in the warehouse one day. I could be working on a new model or two, helping the product. Like I'm not a project manager, but I'll help them out. Maybe I'll do some little bits of research here and there. You could be checking artworks. You could be checking designs, monitoring Facebook, like doing social media. Like that's a lot of what I do now is just going on Facebook, doing Facebook posts, Instagram posts, messages, all that kind of stuff. And even it's not as much lately because of COVID, but we do get down to the Toronto Maintenance Center via TMC, and we work on the passenger car. So the Pullman, our Pullman sleeping car, Edmundston, or one of our 5 RDCs. We do have 5 RDCs now, 2 of which are running. So,
oh wow!
Sometimes we end up restoring passenger equipment on a regular day. So it's a lot of fun. You're never doing the same thing on a day-to-day basis, pretty much.
You ever worried Jason's going to walk through that door and say, look what I bought, and then it's another outrageous train of some sort?
We're always worried about that, especially Janet. Janet's always the most worried because it's usually something expensive, like a bus, or Jason bought that taxi. He bought a London cab, which oddly enough was a left-hand drive Canadian spec London taxi from, I think it was a 62. And yeah, it sits in the warehouse back there. So there's always some kind of new vehicle or something like that being purchased, or historical equipment.
So what is the status on I can't even pronounce it. Edmundston?
Edmundston. It's like
Edmundston. Oh, okay, there we go.
So it's actually pretty good. Actually, if you, I don't know if I can do. I can give a plug to our mechanic Chris Fox. He's our restoration group.
Mm-hmm.
He's on YouTube and has his own channel called Tie Plate CAF, Tie Plate Cap. He just posts restoration videos all the time. I think he's posted 2 or 3 this month. Edmundston itself, he actually went into the drop table in Via's facility there, dropped the truck right off, and they were pulling the whole underbody out, putting patchwork in, reinforcing a lot of the old corroded metal, replacing that. So he's got 2 videos just 2-3 weeks ago about that whole process, it's actually quite interesting to watch. And he does that. He does stuff on the RDCs as well, mechanical bits, getting the diesel engines fixed up and all that stuff. So there's lots to see there.
I feel like I might have seen that. Is that the whole truck went down, it went over, and then it came up through the floor there, right? Am I correct on that?
Yep.
Yeah, totally seen that.
Oh yeah, that's amazing. Chris's channel, and he does some great stuff. Like he records himself as he's restoring things and just takes everybody through what's going on. He's kind of an honorary employee around here. So
nice. So they just let you in to the service center whenever you want? Like, do you have that magic card to let you in there?
A little more complicated than that. We do have an arrangement. And we are working on, I know Jason's kind of been working behind the scenes on the new Via Rail Historical Society, which isn't officially off the ground yet, but it is a thing. There's kind of an understanding with Via about how that's going to go. So it hasn't formally been announced, but we're probably going to do that sometime in maybe next year sometime when as time permits. But Via has been very accommodating.
Will that basically be the final spot for most of these RDCs and the Edmundston, or are any of them going to like the Roundhouse downtown Toronto there?
There's it's not set in stone yet, so we're not really sure. It depends on a lot of things. I know long term we won't, like, we've got the 5 RDCs, but long term we won't be keeping all of them. I think ideally we'd like to keep 2 and maybe sell the other 3 off or trade them for maybe something else. One of the RDCs in particular, so 6110, is the original Bud demonstrator. It was the very first RDC ever built, and we're very aware of that. Right now we're using it just to kind of store a lot of our equipment, but we expect that at some point it maybe, or one of the other cars will be donated. One of them might end up at the Roundhouse. It's just kind of an idea at this point. It's nothing really official, but we'd be open to maybe trading that to another museum or one of the other ones. But we do long-term plan on keeping the 2 operating So we got 6215, which is the RDC2, and 6133, and both of those are actually running now. We just don't know where they're going to run actually on a line yet. So.
Well, I think the long-term goal with the Edmonton, damn it, Edmonton. I'm never going to get it right. I failed.
That's all right.
You're eventually going to do like you're going to hook that up to an actual via, and they're going to pull it, right?
Yeah. The plan is once a lot of the structural work is done, like getting rid of the corrosion, a lot of the kind of the rusty panels and stuff like that, the underbody. Once that gets fixed up, the plan is to equip it with head-end power, so it will be compatible with Via's equipment. And if you actually look at Chris's last video, we actually have the guy I can't remember his name, but he's the car inspector for Via, and he was actually helping Chris out in the last video, kind of help get the car ready to be put back into service again, or some kind of service, or at least able to run with Via equipment. So that's definitely another added bonus to have that kind of knowledge.
Yeah, for sure.
So when it comes to the models and the different projects, is there something specifically that you worked on that's already come out and all that?
Well, my little thing right now is that SP boxcar, which I'm it's not actually out yet. It's still kind of in the, well, we're in tooling now, so we'll have the sample soon. That's kind of in my little project that I've been working on with, of course, with the help of the other team. Something that I've actually got another project that I can't talk about yet. That's actually kind of different that I'm working on, but we'll probably be talking about that in the new year, fairly early in the new year. So
for sure, I don't expect you to divulge all the information, but anything that you give us is obviously appreciated. And we're going to take questions also from the chat. I forgot to mention to you guys, if you guys have questions for Jordan, to make sure it's of the that he can actually answer variety, right? None of the, well, can you do this? I mean, yeah, he can't tell you yes or no. So as long as the question makes sense.
Oh, I should say, I forgot about one thing, the turboliner, of course. That I've been involved with, of course, since the beginning, poking and prodding Jason with that for 5 years now, something like that. So we're actually almost done with that. Josh is actually taking care of a lot of that design, so I can thank him for that one.
So how does it feel knowing that when you work on a project like that, what you're doing is basically you're making people's dreams come true, really? Like, we all have those models that when we see that a company is going to make this, our eyes light up and we're like, oh, no, I got to have that. And I mean, it could potentially be the kind of model that this could get somebody into the hobby. How does that make you feel knowing that you're making that happen? Well,
it's great, but it's also, I mean, we want these too. I mean, it isn't like designed by committee where we just kind of throw a dart at a wall and say that's what we're going to make this week. We look at models that we know will be popular, that people want, that people are asking for. And yeah, we do joke sometimes about people saying, like, can you make product this? Can you make that? Can you make the other thing? But we actually do read all those emails. We read all those messages, and we do take them into account. Like, we see all the Facebook posts and the comments and Instagram and everything, YouTube, and say, okay, if we all of a sudden see, like, if we get like 50 comments, so this is what we want. I mean, it definitely does get our attention. But yeah.
So I take it that Jason got my memo about the Go Transit cars, huh?
That was actually a debate going on for a long time. The catalyst was the F59, and mostly the fact that a lot of the U.S. paint schemes just weren't selling. Like the Metrolink, Los Angeles Metrolink, and some of the other ones like Dallas Trinity Rail Express. People weren't buying them because they were saying, okay, this is a beautiful locomotive. What am I going to do with it? pull box cars, or I mean, the Athearn cars are nice, but they're a bit old now. The tooling's a bit old, and they're not specific to one car. They're just kind of a generic car. So that's kind of where we started with that. And of course, there was a lot of licensing issues with Go, which had to be worked out. Believe it or not, the F59 was actually in development for like 4 years, I think, and it was on hold because we just couldn't get that licensing agreement with Go settled. So that was a long time in the making. So.
I think a lot of people got faith after seeing the fishbowl and the Go Transit fishbowl, and then they're like, it's gonna topple like a house of cards at this point. You got the F59, you got the Go coaches. I mean, possibly an F7 at some point. And I mean, there's obviously so many different variations of these Go Transit cars and the control car, because I know that's going to be a big one. Where if you guys end up doing that, I mean, it's an amazing thing to have a model that no one has ever done before, and you guys are doing it. You guys have done it before, and you'll do it again and again and again, and it's what separates you guys from all these other companies, which is awesome.
And that's one of the neat things about the bi-levels is this is just the first run. I mean, we talked about this a couple times in the newsletters and stuff like that. Like, if this run is super popular, then we can do. There's so many different variations, and even aside from the Go cars, I mean, you have every agency seems to be a little bit different from one another. I mean, you got tons of them in the States. You've got the welded cars, you've got the riveted cars. I think there's about 6 or 7 different series now. And then, of course, the newest cars, the CEM cars that Go has, that's definitely one that people have been asking for. So we'll see how this first run goes. And then if it's really that successful, then we'll look at doing other ones too.
It might be way off the map, but the Rail Runner is probably one of the best looking cars. Because obviously, if you've got the locomotive with all the tails, it's such a smooth looking locomotive.
Yeah, exactly.
But obviously, New Mexico is a little niche, obviously, but I'm sure there's a market for it somewhere.
Oh, definitely. And once you have once we've got all the different toolings, once they're in the catalog, that's the hard part is getting that tooling in place, and then kind of running the different paint schemes, as long as they're accurate, it's a lot more easier at that point. So.
And potentially, now I know that Toronto does a lot of the wraps. I mean, that could, have you ever seen any wraps for any of the American ones as well? Do they ever do any of the wraps?
Metrolink, pardon me. Metrolink does a lot. They have, I've seen probably a couple dozen different variations of their wrapped cars. Even I think you see some of the ones like Tri-Rail's newer cars with that kind of the palm trees and all that crazy scheme they've got. There's some really neat ones out there. And yeah, even some of the Go cars, there's been so many wraps on those. I mean, there'd be some licensing issues if you want to get some of the specific companies on board. But
for sure.
Yeah, but it's possible. Just look at the F40s when we did all those wrapped F40s. Some of the companies were very kind of open to that. I mean, Coors in particular was very happy to do it. Yep, Kool-Aid. Yep. And then other ones were what?
Oh yeah.
Like the Pepsi ones, I think Spider-Man. Spider-Man, we couldn't even licensing for something like that. $10,000. So,
jeez,
too much.
The Pepsi one, I was really hoping for Pepsi, but yeah, they're probably gonna ask for a pretty hefty paycheck for that, for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Jordan, Brian wants to know
what about.
Sorry, go ahead.
What's your favorite build? Brian wants to know from Rapido.
My favorite model, or just anything in general?
You just said your favorite build from Rapido, so.
Okay. Build?
Your favorite? Yeah, build.
I don't know. There's been so much stuff. The F40s were really nice, especially the Amtrak F40s. I'm actually really looking
cabbage.
forward to cars. Yeah, the cabbage. I've got a few cabbages. The Amtrak Horizon cars, which are actually, I think last time I heard they're in Edmonton on the train, something like that. Jasper, Edmonton. They should be here next week. That I'm really looking forward to. That's a project that's kind of I was really pushing for a long time. So stuff like that. I almost
What
lose
about
sometimes.
Sorry, because I think there's a bit of a delay. So what happens is like I thought you finished, and then I go to say something, and then the audio catches up, and I'm like, oh, sorry. So if I'm cutting you off at all, just tell me to go to town, you know. But
no problem.
so I was gonna say, is there a project that you can talk about that might have never happened? It might have been something that, you know, and then you were really disappointed. Something that you wish it had gone through.
We've actually been pretty good about getting a lot of the projects out. I remember when I first started, there were some projects we had to kind of set aside that are actually now back. Like we'd announced like all the F units, like the CP, the FP7, the FP7 or the F9Bs and stuff like that. A lot of those were announced, and we actually canceled them because there was tooling issues with them. The tooling was really bad. I remember I was really looking forward to those. A lot of people were, and we had to kind of cancel that project. And now it's finally on its way. I mean, they're actually going to be here in probably about a month from now. So that's that's a project that was canceled, but then kind of was resurrected. But yeah, that's probably about what I would say would be a kind of a disappointment. But I mean, we've got so much new stuff that's now coming that it's hard to be disappointed these days.
It's so true. I mean, like with everything that you put out, you know, well, the Canadian stuff, right? Because I mostly run the Canadian stuff. So whenever, you know, the gondolas, the caboose or the caboose, whatever you want, the vans. Yep. I'm just always like, and you buy them up like candy, right? Like you can't have just one. I mean, you could, but you don't want it. You want all of them. You have to collect all of them.
Definitely.
They're hard to come by.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the vans, the Ontario Northland vans, we're actually looking at doing, and we've never done this before. We're doing some of the more prototypically correct details, like they have the angled grab iron that's like at a 90-degree angle instead of the curve. We're looking at doing that for this new run. So that's going to be pretty cool when they come out. New lighting in them too. So we've scrapped that old kind of that nuclear lighting. Ah, there you go.
I'm prepared.
Definitely.
So, well, tell us about the lighting then, because you guys do have a different way of doing your pickups now, right?
Yep. So the trucks are being kind of redesigned to be a little more. I mean, the original ones were pretty stiff in a lot of cases, so I think they're kind of trying to adjust that a bit, be more reliable. And the lighting, yeah, we pretty much scrapped that entire lighting kit. It was a couple of giant, like almost green or bright yellow LEDs. So we're going to a system kind of like a lot of our new passenger cars. They're micro SMDs that are placed throughout the car on a lighting board. So that's definitely going to be a big improvement compared to the earlier runs.
And I believe during one of your chats, I did ask a question in regards to the caboose, and you guys said something about how you'll be able to put a sound decoder in it, possibly. Is that?
I think that I can't speak for the other guys because I'm not working on that project. I don't know if we're doing that. I know for the not the dome cars, the Go cars are going to have the capability for a sound for a speaker and a sound system to be installed. So those are going to come with some sort of, we haven't figured it out yet, but some sort of decoder system. So you're going to have a function, like a basic function decoder in the model for the bi-levels, for the headlights, your interior lights, ditch lights, class lights. But it's being designed so you can solder in a speaker and just plug in a decoder and a sound decoder, and you can have sounds if you wanted to, like horns and bells. I just don't know if we're doing that on the van though. But it's going to be similar to the Steam Jenny is getting something like that.
The Steam Gen. So with the steam gen then, because obviously you guys have done where it's not really a steam generator car anymore. It's a sound car, right?
Yes, so the technically it's the steam heater, but yeah, it doesn't generate steam anymore. We actually got rid of that mechanism because it was. I mean, this is of course years before I worked here, but it was super unreliable from what I've heard. It could be messy because you had like you're blowing steam all over the place. But this is going to be a little bit more reliable. I think we're going to use some kind of similar to the lighting system, how you have the reed switch where you can just turn it on and off. I don't know if it's going to be like that or an actual switch in the roof, but it's just going to be a little simple sound decoder or sound system.
I like the idea of it being sound. I was like, it needs to have steam. I don't know. That's just me though.
Yeah, we looked at doing both, but there wasn't room in the body because the original mechanism is kind of. We had to scrap the original mechanism. It was looked into. It was just getting both in there at the same time was a bit difficult. But I mean, in theory, you might be able to retrofit something in if you have one of the older ones. You retrofit in a decoder, but it's possible.
See, I thought it was due to transportation purposes. So if you have to send like 100 of them over the border, they got to open them up and say, well, what's this fluid?
Oh yeah.
And obviously they risk getting damaged, right? And everybody who's ever bought a model from Rapido knows how detailed they are, and they are breakable.
It does happen. It does happen from time to time. There's always
that makes sense. Mark, did you have you had some questions for Jordan? Right?
I'm just reading the chat here, and apparently there's a VB unit behind Jordan or someone. I can't see it, but
yeah, this is actually that's an F9B. This is actually mine. This is actually from the first release, but that's pretty much these are the engines that are on the way. So these are
cool.
The ones that are in Canada now. Oh wait, no, these are not in Canada. The Horizons are in Canada. These are going to be coming late next month. I don't know if we're going to get them shipped out before Christmas. It'll probably arrive just before Christmas, and we'll ship them out like the first week of January or something like that.
Nice.
But yeah, if you go on our website, we've got all the different paint schemes. We've got like VIA, CP, CN, all the different schemes.
And Nathan's been asking numerous times here, what's the process of building a model? He says from scratch, but I guess they're all from scratch. But can you go through quickly the process of building a model?
Sure. Pretty much. Now the easiest way to do it to start is if we can get drawings, especially for like freight cars and stuff like that. If we have like a blueprint or a drawing, we can base that off of. It makes it really easy to draw. Yeah. So one of the guys will draw like a 2D drawing or base it off of some blueprints, send that off to the factory, and then they'll start rendering like a 3D CAD drawing. So that usually can take, depending on how complex the model is, if it's a box car, that might take 2-4 weeks, maybe a month. Locomotive is longer. That could take a couple months' time to put something like that together. So we go back and forth. We try to get the kind of the designs kind of settled before we start tooling. I mean, it happens sometimes where we'll tool a model and we'll find out this part needs to be changed or something like that. Yeah. But generally, we like to get the drawings down pat first, and then once we're happy with that, the boss, like Jason, will sign off on them. They go into tooling. Tooling takes about 60-75 days from the point we actually kind of hit go, and usually around that they'll get the first samples, they'll send them off. What we usually do, and it's not always the same with every company, but we'll get like unpainted samples, we'll paint them up, we'll show them off, we'll do a video. That could take a few months' time. We'll set an order deadline and then go from there. So put them right into production after the order deadline hits. But it can take, depending on when the product is announced, it can take up to a year, sometimes longer. We've got projects that have been kind of hanging around for a long time that are just starting to come to fruition now.
Wow.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. I am big fan of the models, but I'm also a bigger fan of the videos. You know, I'm a YouTuber myself. What's the process for making those videos? I picture you guys sitting around a round table with storyboards and.
It's changed a bit. So it used to be Jason just doing videos mostly by himself, or with Dan or something like that. As we've grown, so we've grown considerably in the last 2 or 3 years. We actually brought on a new guy named Jeremy earlier this year, and he was actually hired as a warranty technician. Everyone's got a J name here, everybody. But we hired this guy Jeremy. He was just going to fix some models, fix grab iron, stuff like that. And then it turned out that he was like this professional video editor, and we had no idea. So he's become our kind of de facto. Like he does all the editing. He does a lot of the filming, most of the filming. He does. You've seen his videos. I mean, he's fantastic. Like,
Yeah,
probably arguably the funniest of all of us. So he's really taken over
Even
that.
funnier than Janet?
It depends. Janet definitely has her moments. So those are usually fun videos to do, though.
he's on next month. We'll get Jeremy next month.
Yes, definitely.
That deadpan, you know. Hi.
That's the thing. But yeah, we actually had I don't know if it's up yet, but we have another video coming out tonight where I'm in it, Jeremy's in it. I think Jeremy's wife's in it, and we're talking about the N scale horizons and comet cars, and that should be up tonight before midnight anyway. So if it's not already out,
Great.
but everybody, you can watch that later.
After this, go over to the Rapido page, and you will find the comment video.
Exactly.
So that'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
They're always fun to watch. I mean, even if you didn't show off a train at all during the video at all, it's just fun to watch. And there's a lot of likability about it, and you guys as a team and as individuals as well. And that's what makes it that much more fun and better. It's awesome to watch. So
we don't try to take ourselves too seriously.
Worst pickup line ever, but I don't try to take myself too seriously. Well, tell me about the Turbo Liner project, because that's a pretty big one for you, right?
It is. So I think I was here. This is back in 2016. I'd only been working here for maybe a week, and I told Jason about this. And before that, Matt Donnelly from Amtrak, who's a big Turboliner fan, for years I've been telling Jason he needs to make this. He needs to make this. So it's actually funny because starting back in 2016, we actually kind of made it a joke that I kept asking for Turboliners in all of the meetings or in all the videos. And at the time, we really were not going to make them. Like, there was no plans on making them at all. So that actually, what was it, about a little over a year ago, I'd say summer of 2019, Jason kind of finally caved and said, maybe it's time to make this. So, yeah, for like 2 or 3 years, it was a total joke because we were literally not going to make that model. So,
did you really break the real one in the video?
Technically, Josh, when he was trying to yank me out of the seat, but that's debatable. But that is actually a legit letter from Amtrak. So Matt Donnelly actually works for Amtrak, and it came from his office in Washington, D.C., which was totally awesome.
Hopefully they weren't too mad.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's seen the letter, but he posted it. I think we posted it on our Facebook about last fall. So it's very hilarious. So.
And is the Turboliner your first major project?
I will say I kind of been the one pushing the project, but I have to give credit where it's due to the people that are actually doing a lot of the design work. So Alex Groshane and Josh, they've really been the design experts when it's come to this. I've just been kind of giving my input and giving them like ideas for how to make it better and stuff like that. But they've really been responsible for the meat and potatoes of that project, making it be. And we're actually almost done the design on that. So they've been going back and forth. We've all been going back and forth with some corrections. So I think we'll be ready to tool that maybe in January. So we'll probably have some samples before the winter's up.
Oh, that's great. That was actually my next question. For those who are waiting eagerly for a turbo liner, and all the road names that you guys had originally announced, all the schemes, they're all good. It's all going through.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We're not missing any.
I don't think so. Even the funky X2000 demonstrator set, which only ran briefly in, when was it, 93 for like a month, that actually made it somehow. I'm not sure how, but I believe those ones made the cut. So we're good. We're good in that regard.
And sorry. And what would you say is Rapido's best-selling model?
That's changed over time. The RDCs are probably the number one. And I mean, we've gotten, I think we're on our third release now, third release in 4 years. They've been probably the biggest seller we've ever done. And we'll probably do another run in a year or two. I don't know what it'll be, but I'd be shocked if we don't do another run of those. In terms of diesels, I believe the GMD1, because we did 3 releases of that, and that's been our number one diesel seller. And,
my guess would have been the F40, but I mean, you know better than I do. I'd be playing favorites as well. Although the GMD1 is probably one of the most solid models that you guys have done. It's a huge fan favorite for sure.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Because they were so utilitarian. I mean, they used them everywhere. They had some of them had Jennies. I mean, they're still around. CN still has what, a dozen or so. One of them went past the office not too long ago, just in the last couple of days, I think. So.
And it's been about 4 years since you guys dropped that one, right? 4 or 5?
Last run was 2017. That was the rebuilt 1400s and 1600s. And I know a lot of people are looking for more of those.
It's been one of those ones that have come up in topic of conversation for sure.
Oh yeah,
quite often.
People are dying to see the RDC and N scale. Any chance of that happening?
Maybe.
Just asking for a friend.
Even the GMD ones in N scale were really good. The F40s that you guys are doing in N scale, amazing. I like when you guys just had the pre-painted samples of even the N scale LRCs. They're very solid cars and a very solid locomotive too. Again, you wouldn't know it was N scale unless you literally said, "No, this is N scale."
Yeah, I will
see
say,
it in like a picture.
In terms of N scale, I know because this question comes up all the time. Just look at anything that we post anywhere in the world. It's always, is this N scale? When is it coming in N scale? You should make this an N scale.
Yeah.
We do have, I believe, 3 N scale projects in the works right now. There's at least 3 that are in the works. So I can't say what they are.
I'm on the opposite. I saw that the Great Canadian Train comes out, the 10-piece set, and it's an N scale.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I love to see an HO.
The Canadians, we won't be running an HO again because that was such a difficult project. I mean, that was before I was working at Rapido, but it almost sunk the project because it tied the factory up for like 11 months or something like that.
Wow.
The problem with doing a model where you've got whatever it was, 8, 10 different models in the same box, that's a lot of production.
Yeah.
So we won't be doing complete Canadian sets, but we're definitely, like, we've got the Manor sleepers coming out. We've got the baggage dorms coming out. Those are announced. We will be announcing Chateau sleepers at some point. Nice. I don't know when. Probably after these cars are out. Most likely you'll see coaches. The Bud coaches return. I don't know about the dining cars. We'll probably do the dining cars. The parks, I don't know, because the parks were run, I think, last about 6 years ago-ish. So that's not too far in the past, but most of the cars will be making a return. And of course, the Skyline cars just came
Yeah.
out like years ago too.
It's funny that you mentioned the Canadian, because I'm pretty sure the first Rapido video that I've seen was the demonstration of how strong the box is, where you guys were throwing it off the back
Yep.
down into the warehouse just to make sure that everything was still good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
It's been a long time, but
yeah, that was Jason and Dan doing that one. Yeah, that goes back a ways. That was probably 3 or 4 years before I was working here. So
how much has it changed since you started?
well, when I started, that was 5 years ago in January.
5 years.
Our office was half the size it is now. So I think at the time, not including the factory, of course, I think we had 9 employees. It was like 8 or 9 employees. We're now up to about 25.
Wow.
We've hired like 7 or 8 or 9 people just this year, which is, I mean, it's been explosive growth, especially.
And you're still looking.
Oh yeah, we're still hiring right now. So actually, if there's anybody out there that's in the Toronto area who's a modeler who knows a lot about trains and doesn't mind lifting boxes, we need somebody that can work in the warehouse to assist our warehouse manager, but can also answer model train questions about anything pretty much. So we're looking for someone that can do that, and that's I don't think that's been filled yet. So we are actively looking for a person. So
there you go, Chris.
Yep.
I mean, I take phone calls for a living, and I talk trains as a side living. I mean, you know, when I saw the posting, I'm like, you know who'd be perfect for this? But again, long drive, super long drive.
Definitely.
And I definitely can't do that from home. So
yeah. And that's kind of always been the joke of it. When I started working here, I was doing like phones, and I was working in the warehouse, and I'd be doing something else. I'd be working on Edmonton one day, and then the next day I'd be doing the dishes in the kitchen. But I'd answer the phones, and I'd be just like, that was back when you pick it up and some guy would want to talk about how he's got 32 BNSF GVOs in his collection, and he's going to let me tell you all the road numbers. So you got to learn how to filter that stuff out without being rude, of course. But
yeah.
And that's how I would lose the job at Rapido. Jason, where's my T train? Come on, we can do a T train. I would do the same thing that you did with the turbo liner, but a T train. Yeah. And I mean, I got people that would back me up on it, but it wouldn't really hold much weight because
the problem is there's, I think, at least 4 people in the office that have the Roco set, so including myself.
And I'm pretty sure I've bugged at least half of them for theirs.
Oh yeah, I think so.
So hard to find.
Oh yeah. They were. They kind of came and they went, and I'm kind of surprised they didn't make haven't done another run. That's been what, 9-10 years now, almost.
At least.
Close to it. Yeah.
Feels like it's been longer.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you obviously you work with model trains all day,
and
then you go home. Do you find it hard to go home and work on model trains after dealing with model trains all day?
That's the funny thing. It's I can't speak for the other guys, but I do find that I don't do as much modeling now because it's just kind of, it's what I do all the time. But that's kind of why I want to build this little layout get this layout in my office kind of underway, because that way I can actually get back to building a layout again. I've been a part of a couple different clubs over the years, but I haven't had my own layout probably, I can't even remember when. It's probably been 15 or 20 years just since I've had my own personal layout. So I'm actually looking forward to that. But that I can probably do on company time. So and
you can get away with it.
Oh yeah.
And you're gonna film it, right, and document it on YouTube?
Yeah, most likely. We're just actually starting to plan the what the bench work's going to look like. But pretty much, I can spin my camera around here. So this is my office. We've already painted the wall. It's a little bit messy in here, but that's going to be all the way along here. So right up to overtime like that eventually. So hopefully that's going to start coming together in over the winter.
Nice.
And well, you were saying that you belong to a train club. Let's talk about that. Where is your train club?
Well, I'm not part of
Or
one
what?
right now. I was part of the Railview Club, which is actually just across the street. I was part of that until just recently, probably last spring. It was just around the time COVID hit, anyways. But I was part of that club. There was two different versions. There was the old version that was just across this, a little bit more down the street, and the one that was above George's trains, which I think we started that one around 2013 or 14, something like that. I'm not part of it right now, but the club has done. They've done a really nice job getting that one put together. But it's been, of course, really slow with COVID, so I haven't actually seen it in a little while. But I know they've been pretty active getting it set up and finished.
It definitely, the COVID thing definitely puts a damper on everyday life. Like you said, around the office, it seems very empty and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
How is Rapido doing overall, despite all these limitations and whatnot?
Well, that's the thing. Because everybody, especially during the lockdown last winter, when it was kind of at its peak of everybody being shut down, people were stuck at home, so they were modeling, and we saw a lot of really great modeling coming out. People were, there's obviously some people that had some hardships and that had to cancel their orders, but which is totally understandable. But overall, sales have actually been up. Like, things are going really well, and we're really happy with that, of course. But yeah, modelers are out there in their modeling, which is really encouraging to see. But even around the office, it's been quiet around here, but things are happening. Everybody's working from home that can, so it's been great.
Now, Jason used to go overseas a lot, to China, to the warehouse and whatnot, and he would normally oversee the QC, right? And he would be, checking up and making sure everything's running smoothly. How does all that go about now?
We're relying more on our, because we have some kind of representatives that live over there, that live in China, that kind of we communicate with every day. Like every day, we're in constant kind of communication with what's going on there. Obviously, we can't go over. There's a number of reasons for that right now, of course, as we all know. But we just try and kind of make do as best we can. But it seems to, we've had some rough patches in the last year, as everybody has, but it's overall has worked out quite nicely.
And obviously, train shows don't happen. And you were one of the guys that were going to a lot of these train shows, promoting obviously for Rapido. What do you miss most about that?
It was actually really nice to get especially I hadn't done as much of or as many of the Canadian shows. I was doing a lot of the U.S. shows. Like my particular favorite was Denver, and it's really neat to go there because it's a totally different setting. But you've got all the manufacturers. I mean, it's actually a lot of fun because we would sit down with the other guys. You have dinner with the guys from like the Athearn guys or the Atlas guys, and we just hang out. Like I think I went rail fitting with some of the Athearn guys last year when we were in Nebraska. We had a little train show, Spring Creek show, which is kind of a neat little show that happens every couple of years. I miss that because you do have that kind of interacting with the different manufacturers and meeting all the different modelers from around the country too.
So because you go to the shows a lot and you're doing a lot of the videos too, you find it hard yet to go grocery shopping without somebody noticing you or what?
Fortunately, I don't really have that problem. That's mostly Jason, but I managed to keep a low profile for the most part. So
I'm sure it's pretty hard with the mask on, right?
oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a good disguise to put it lightly.
So I want to talk a bit about some of the past models that you guys have done.
Mhm.
Yeah, obviously ones that I have readily available to me because I buy all of them. So obviously the F40s.
Yep.
I'm going to start off with the F40s. Probably my favorite that you guys have ever done.
Mhm.
What I would deem as the most solid locomotive to come out of a company,
Mhm.
and it's almost like a staple. So when you say Rapido, you think F40.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I did a poll earlier on, like last week. What is everybody's favorite Rapido product? And actually, these came out on top as your number one of,
Nice.
like, obviously all the people that follow and whatnot with myself. They
Mhm.
said that this one, besides this one, will actually be the GMD one. So it was almost 50-50, but very, very, very close there,
Nice.
obviously, with them. And you guys have obviously done a number of specialty schemes, and with the D or the 2D,
Mhm.
sorry.
Mhm.
Now you guys are doing the USA ones, right? The
Yeah.
later, the
Yeah. We
yeah.
got the later phase Amtrak units. So Amtrak actually had a lot of different F40s because they built the first ones came around '76. They were still buying them
Mm-hmm,
into 8. That's just for
mm-hmm,
Amtrak. Later, like Metro was getting them into like '92, '93. They built them for a
mm-hmm,
long time. Our new run is kind of the middle range ones, the ones that came in the early to mid 80s, like 80, 81, 82.
mm-hmm.
So they look the same, but they're actually totally different. Different fans, different body sides, different fuel tanks. All that stuff has been swapped out. So we got like different Amtrak units, which did run into Canada in several places, BC, Ontario, Quebec, um, plus all the commuter roads too.
And
And
then
the
you've got that you did the ski train as well,
Yep.
because
Yeah, those have been hugely popular to the
and
point where
then
we.
of course, oh sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying to the ski train was so popular, we might actually have to make more of those because they disappeared fast. And the F40s, the ski train F40s are on the way, probably in a couple months. So we'll see them over the winter, I believe.
And of course, the pulling the ski train or the F40s are pulling the tempos, right? Well, technically the tempos, but the ski train tempos. I just threw
Yep.
a tempo up there. Honestly, one of the most solid passenger cars I have ever owned.
Hmm.
I can't say enough good things about these cars. Um, did you do the roller bearings in these ones or just the
The
LRCs? I can't remember if you did the.
I think the later LRCs had the roller bearings. It was the first run from like 2009 or something like that that were really like super stiff. But the tempos do have the roller bearings in them. They've actually been a really solid model. The factory has really refined kind of. I mean, especially if you look at a lot of our old models from like '06, '07, they were pretty nice, but they had some issues. Um, the way they're able to design and build passenger cars now is like 10 times better than they were doing 10 years ago. So, and the Tempo is really a good example of that, how solid they've been.
One thing that's really timeless, though, and I already mentioned this to Mark, probably one of the greatest inventions of all time,
Oh, yes.
the
The
magic wand.
or the lighter, depending on who you ask. There's a couple of people
Yeah,
actually read those in the States. So,
yeah. I mean, it's something so small that I probably have a million of right now, but just to be able to turn the lights on and off,
mhm.
and the end of the car as well. And you said that the go will probably have the same kind of mechanism to it.
Yeah, yeah. We're looking at doing, depending on how the whole setup is going to be, but I believe it's like the interior lights at the very least are going to be operating in that regard. So just the magic wand kind of turning them on and off, and especially with the track power, with the battery. Like the batteries were nice, but these like now you don't have to take the shell off, you don't have to take the roof off. You just flick them on and
Mhm.
off, and they've been very reliable.
And even with the LRC cars as well, such a smooth looking car. And obviously, I picked
Yeah.
my favorite one to show off here because the paint scheme, amazing. Like very
Oh, yeah.
crisp. I didn't know they were that silver. I've never been next to one in real life because it's very rare to see, for me to go out rail fanning. But such a beautiful paint job on these. I definitely commend you for that. Absolutely.
That's a one-off too. I think there was only one of those cars. I believe that's the business car.
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's the one-off business car in that scheme.
Yep.
I haven't done those.
Yeah,
in
the other one was. Sorry.
I said we haven't done those quite yet in N scale, so that's we'll definitely get another run of those in at some point. In N, which we
that's
haven't.
one a lot of people were asking for too.
Oh,
in the N scale.
Yeah, for sure.
And there was also I worked with Otter Valley doing the special LRC card that had the missing Canada flag to it, and a lot of people were asking for those in N scale as well. I'm not sure how much of a market there would be for them, but a lot of people seem to really like them. And,
definitely. We might. Sorry.
I was gonna say, like, working with Josh was such a pleasure. He's such a cool guy. I think told next time I'm coming down to Toronto, we're going bowling because I know he's a very avid bowler. So
he's not in Toronto anymore.
He was very fun to work with.
He's closer.
Oh, he moved?
He moved to Belleville last weekend. So he's
That's
now
right.
He's got his home office, but he's in Belleville. So he's he's right actually by the tracks. He's only about a 5-minute walk from Belleville Station, which is really nice.
Wow. Oh, okay. Huh.
I don't know if I'm guessing they have bowling there though. They must.
I hope so, for his sake, right? I mean, Ottawa doesn't have too much, but I mean, I grew up in Brampton, and I mean, there are a dime a dozen out there. So that's the way it seems, anyways. Obviously, talking about the tempo cars, you can't talk about the tempo cars without talking about the RS18s.
Yep.
Now, you guys are doing more RS18s, right?
We're doing the RS18.
Or was it the?
So we're doing the CP RS18U rebuilds. So in the early 80s, CP chop nosed all their units. They rebuilt basically from the ground up. They rebuilt their all of their 18s, the ones that were left. And I think there was I can't remember the numbers, but there was a fairly decent fleet of them. So we're doing those, and we're also doing the CN RSC14s, which were they took their RS18s and they swapped in the A1A trucks from some of their older MLWs. So that's actually a neat new model. We've actually retooled that from the ground up. So I'm not sure if anyone that's ever tried to take apart their first run RS18, it is a kind of it's interesting. So the new ones have been totally redesigned. Like you take out some screws, the shell just lifts right off. So just like the GMD one. So we're going that way to make things a lot easier to work with. But they're in tooling right now, so we should have samples of those by probably early winter, vaguely maybe February, March.
Now you guys offered these in a box
Chris,
set. Obviously, I got my. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off. I have to go. Unfortunately, something came up. I gotta peace out, as you cool kids say. Jordan, it's been a pleasure.
Yep, thanks.
Really appreciate you coming on. I save my voice most of the night for my live stream, which is second Thursday in December. So check that out. That's a shameless plug right there. But keep going strong. Lots of guys in the chat. Thumbs up. Thank you very much. And see you next third rail Thursday. Again, Jordan, thank you.
Yep.
In 2 weeks. So you guys have done the box set.
Yep.
And how do you decide what because obviously you get napkins, you get the glasses in there as well. How do you decide what you're going to include with these sets?
Jason kind of figures that stuff out. I mean, it worked really well with the Canadian. I mean, we did the napkins, we did the whiskey glasses. So we figured we'd do that with these ones as well, and it's worked out really nicely. But these sets were hugely popular too. I think they sold out really fast. I mean, I'm not sure if there's any left. Dealers probably have them still, but they've been a huge success.
There might be one-offs, if anything, but
Yeah.
I get a lot of, like, ever since I did my unboxing review, like, because I always do reviews and overviews of whatnot. I take it all out of the box and I give my thoughts and whatnot. And honestly, like, Rapido products in general, people swarm to those. They love the videos. They love seeing the new product. Where does this likability come from? What do you think it is that gets people hooked?
A lot of things you could say about that. I think, well, just the number of new models we're doing, and again, we try to kind of, yeah, we act silly sometimes, and I think that kind of makes some people don't like that, but a lot of people find it more. I mean, it's more personable, I guess you could say. So that really helps. But I mean, yeah, I guess that's kind of what I would say for that.
Another one of the big ones that you guys do.
Yep.
I'm just gonna get that in there. Some Huskies, the
Mhm.
53 footers.
Mhm.
These
Yep.
are amazing right now, but a lot of companies, I should say, not people, but companies, they have done intermodal.
Mhm.
Basically, you can go to any company and get an intermodal almost, basically.
Yep.
What separates your intermodal from the next companies?
Well, this was a unique prototype. I think there's other cars that are similar. These were actually originally designed to be kind of they were originally going to be part of a train set. This was years ago, back when we did the prime movers stuff. There was going to be, like, the Dash 8 was going to be part of this set we were going to do. That kind of didn't happen, but yeah, these have been neat cars. Try to keep the price down a bit. Some of the details a little bit more simplified compared to some of the other ones. You'll see some of the more higher end ones, but yeah, they're full die cast metal. A lot of them you'll see are plastic, or they'll have some weights put in them somewhere. But these are full metal cast bodies, which is really neat. And we probably should make some more of these pretty soon.
A lot of people were asking about different sizes, like the 40-footer containers, 60-footer, I believe. These are all possibilities, right? Like, it's not too far off.
Yeah. We're actually looking at doing a bunch of stuff, bunch of other intermodal stuff right now. I don't know exactly what else is coming. I know we definitely want to make more of these, so don't be surprised if something like that comes along before too long.
And obviously, I can't talk about intermodal without talking about this awesome project. Do you want to tell everybody about this project that you guys did?
Yep. So these are the run for the on track for a cure cars. I can't remember who painted. I guess TTX painted these up. There's a few different versions out there, and there was a fundraiser that we did. I guess it was about this time last year, about a year ago now. Off the top of my head, and we did raise a whole bunch of money for cancer research there. And we actually didn't make enough of these. I think we made 300 cars, and we didn't think they would sell, and they sold out in like 36 hours, every single car, and we could have sold a lot more. So it's definitely something we need to do again. And yeah, you'll be seeing those come back. If you didn't get one in the first run, there will be more, probably with a different road number too.
I think everyone in the chat's going nuts right for this car. It is much sought after. Just like, yeah, Cornell, it's a unicorn for sure. They pop up. It's very rare. And
Very rare. Yeah.
Such a good cause too behind it. So definitely awesome if you can find one of these guys. Seriously. But let's see.
Yeah, but if you can't find one, they will be coming back. I just don't know when yet, but probably sooner rather than later.
These ones here.
Yep,
Now,
30.
for a while, you guys were doing a lot of like passenger stuff and whatnot, and then we start throwing in some freight now, like like obviously the box cars that you've been working on and whatnot. Then you've got the true to scale cylindrical hoppers.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There's different versions. So you'll see there's a lot of different sizes. You've got the 4550s, which are actually, they're a correct car as well. These are a shorter version. They use them for quite a few different services. A lot of different, like you see them in like sugar service, aggregates, stuff like that. But there's actually not many of them around still. They're mostly kind of starting to disappear, but they were really kind of all over the place right since the 60s when they started to deliver those. A few different versions too. And
these were softer. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and we got a lot of new kind of freight cars we're doing right now. We actually kind of convinced Jason on that you need to get more freight cars. So we actually have a whole bunch of new stuff. We announced a whole bunch of new freight cars over this year, spring, summer, fall. We've got several new ones, and we got some new other new ones on the way. We've got a few Canadian cars.
Even the Procores, I was so happy about the Procore announcement.
Oh, yeah. The tank or the 3800s?
The larger logo ones, I believe the 38s, I believe.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember. I have to check my pre-order, but I just kind of went for whatever. But with the Procores, now it was saying there that they are the first ones that come equipped with KDs, correct?
Yeah. So we were using our McDonald Cartier couplers on a lot of our freight cars. We are moving, in terms of freight cars, we're moving away from those. Particularly for the tank cars, the Procore tanks, they're going to be coming with either KD 158 scale head couplers, or I believe I can't remember what the number is. It's the shelf coupler, the scale shelf coupler. So depending on what the prototype had, we're doing that now, and that's going to be all our freight car designs going forward. We will be using a scale whisker coupler from KD, and that also is good for the coupler boxes themselves. We're actually making them more of a scale width. You see a lot of the coupler boxes on older freight cars, and they're just, the draft gear is just huge. So this allows us to do a smaller, more scale sized draft gear box, which we're, as you can see, the last few models we've announced, they're all coming with that feature.
I like the idea of them coming with the KDs. I feel like when you guys do locomotives now, it's usually, Lock Sound, you guys have been working with them, and also TCS as of recently.
Yep.
All these things that, when you buy a locomotive, you can say, honestly, well, yeah, it does come with that. I feel like you guys should have been using KDs like long ago. It should be a staple you guys would have with them to have all your models with KDs. But it's good to see them.
Oh yeah, it is expensive to do KDs. Like, it is an additional cost, like that we try and factor that into it. So for locomotives and stuff like that, we'll be sticking with and passenger cars will be sticking with our regular couplers. But freight car guys, like, that's what the high-end freight car guys demand that now on their models. So that's what kind of the direction we're going in with that. But there is definitely room for the possibility to do something else with locomotives in the future as well.
Now we've got a question coming in from Mystic Southern Railway.
Sure.
Jordan, how do you decide which prototypes to model?
Depends on what you're looking at. For freight cars in particular, it's nice to have the important thing is if we can get drawings. If we have access to blueprints or drawings, that's really the first step, because that's the challenge, is getting all those dimensions right. And then you really need to see, like, who had them, like how many roads are there available. And that's where the tank cars are really popular, because there's like dozens of different variations on that. Same with the 3,800 cubic foot hoppers. You've got lots of paint schemes, lots of road names. So that really takes that into account. Same with passenger cars. If you've got lots of paint schemes, if they're really popular, then that really helps the cause.
I hope that answers Mystic's question there. Thanks for the question. Keep the questions coming, guys.
Yeah, for sure.
So with the smooth sides, I love these cars. I gotta be honest with you, the Super Continentals. I can't get enough of them. And this is obviously the diner that you guys just did recently. Very happy with this.
Yeah, they're a very successful car for us, so we're really happy with those. And that's actually the newest of the Super Continental cars, so you can really see how we've improved the construction methods. Made the roof is part of the body now, and it's really improved that design compared to some of the older ones that we've done.
And one of the things that I noticed that when you guys did the Tempo cars, you took a lot of aspects from the build from those and carried it into the diners, actually, with the roller bearing and the lighting and whatnot. Do you find that that's going to be something that you're going to be moving forward with, or do you feel like you can still improve on that?
Well, the dining cars in particular, they're actually not roller bearing in those, but because they've got the needle point axles in there, they're just so smooth as they are. The big thing with the Tempos was because they're an inside bearing truck. As you can see with the original LRCs, there's just so much friction. You have to have a good quality design in there so they can roll. The new Comet cars are like that. That's an inside bearing truck, roller bearing, and they just roll away. Like you can't even keep them from standing still. They'll just roll off.
I honestly had no idea that, like you said, they are super smooth. So I never even thought to check.
I think there are needle points in there in the truck.
Oh yeah. Now there was a question there. Any plans for the RDC4 and possibly a Go Transit F40 PH?
RDC4, we've always kind of joked about that. We're really not sure because there were so few of them. CN had them, CP had them. They did go to VIA, so VIA still has them. But aside from that, I think CNO had them in the States, and there were very few other ones. So it's definitely on our radar, but we're really not sure yet. It's very, very possible though. Jason probably does.
Sorry, and Jason,
he probably does need them. So
for Nick the Train Nerd, he's asking about the at-risk F40s and F59 PHs. Where do we stand on all those right now?
We're still tabulating the numbers on those. It's been really hectic the last couple of weeks, so we're just getting those kind of into the system there. I think we're looking pretty good though, so we should know probably by early next week. And I forgot the Go F40s from before. Definitely something we want to do in the future. But we'll get those numbers for the rest of the F40s probably by next week. We're optimistic.
Things look good. Do you notice a climb after the bi-level car announcement?
Definitely. With the F59s in particular, that's definitely boosted the sales. So we'll probably keep both of those order deadlines open a bit longer. We did set the F59, but we've reopened that. So we're probably going to wait to see. I don't know if we're going to wait till we have the tooling samples for the bi-levels, but we'll leave that open probably until the new year, and then reevaluate the numbers. I mean, stuff like Go, they've sold really well. I mean, it's tooled, so they're going to come at some point. But we'll probably have a better outlook by early in the winter.
I still find Go to be very niche, like especially even like Go in N scale, because that's going to be the next question. And people are well, where are my N scale Go Transit cars, right?
Mm-hmm. It's possible, definitely possible. Maybe in the long term, we'll see how the H1 ones do first. It would be a little difficult because we'd almost have to do an F59 and N, so it would be a very involved project. But I mean, as we've seen with the Comets and the Horizon cars, the commuter cars, that's done pretty well on its own. So we'll see.
Now, this might be a biased opinion, but I would love to see a green F59 Go Transit box set with 3 cars. The same way you did the Tempo. I think that would be amazing. But that, again, that's just me. I know us Go Transit guys, we get the hardcore when it comes to the cars and whatnot. But I'm just putting it out there. I'm just putting it out there, just in case.
I might not do a set with the locomotives, but I'm sure because we're doing the 3-car sets. I mean, if you saw the ski train packs that we did, the Rio Grande ski train, that was a beautiful set. We'll probably do something like that for the go cars when they come out. Nice sleeve or something like that. But we'll see. We're still pretty focused on the design. Josh again is taking care of that project, so we'll get that design down pat first, and then get the samples, and we'll see how we go from there.
You're doing that with the HO scale comets as well, right?
Yeah. We're not ready to. We haven't designed the packaging quite yet, but that we'll probably have some kind of cool sleeve work or something like that for those cars. They're actually early in production right now, I believe, for the HO ones at least.
Another one of these amazing cars that you've done. The obviously the gondolas. This was your second run of gondolas, correct?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
And I mean, you caught me off guard with Ontario Northland and all the Mo units that you guys did as well. I don't know how you guys do it, how you guys decide, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is, all these different names. These are all the themes behind them. Who does all this? Who makes these calls?
I mean, we all kind of have input in it. It's not just like Jason sitting at his desk saying, this is what we're making. It's everybody has input about what we want to do. We actually have meetings once a month where the whole project management team sits down and they say, everybody brings like 4 or 5 projects to the table and say, so these are the projects that I want to do, or this, everyone has their own things. And quite often, usually at these meetings, we'll approve a couple of new cars, locomotives, whatnot, maybe something else. But we kind of all usually agree that this will be a good project. There's a lot of room for it in the market, and we'll dig right into it. And especially, like I said, if we have good drawings to go off of, that really helps.
Geez, to be a fly on the wall, let me tell you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, without getting too much detail, we do have a couple of new Canadian freight cars in the works. So, without saying anything about it.
So you said it, but within the next couple of days or so, there's going to be some sort of an announcement.
There's going to be a small announcement tomorrow, I believe, in the newsletter. It's well, I won't say what it is, but we'll see that probably I don't know, sometime late tomorrow morning. That newsletter will go out. But yeah, we have a big newsletter coming at Christmas, like we always do, and we've almost got new announcements coming on a monthly basis now. That's how busy we are. So.
So with the recent announcement that you guys have made, obviously the Go Transit cars, the highlight of the whole thing. Well, bi-levels in general, but I just think, with the Go Transit, that's what caught my eye. You're doing the lighted ends to them. You're lighting both the top and the bottom of each car.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yeah, those will have. So we'll have the full micro SMD lighting on all levels. So you got multi-level lighting. They're going to have, and this is from the factory, they will have headlight, ditch light, just the red class lights. In reality, the other, like the extra and the sectional trains very rarely got used on Go. So you will have the red marker lights only on those. There was some limited capacity, I think, to put the other ones on there. And I might be wrong. I think we're looking at doing the number board lights as well in the cabs, but I don't quote me on that because I could be wrong. And again, of course, there is the capability. If you really want to put sound in, there will be the option. You can fit one in there if you like to. We won't be selling a sound decoder, but there will be that capability.
Which is definitely a good option for sure, because then you can add lighting effects if necessary. And that'd be great. Now,
right on the motherboard, there will be a couple of pads for soldering on a speaker.
Oh, nice. Now, at the same time, because keeping in mind, I am a younger brother of an older sibling, and I know a thing or two about being overshadowed. So the F30 flat cars that you guys did, some people totally missed that because it got so overshadowed by the bi-level car. And let's talk about the 50-foot flats.
That's a neat little car. I wonder if I could put some photos up of it. Yeah, that's a neat car. That was an all new design that Bill was kind of pushing. It's an all die cast model, so the entire body, and this is like the prototype. The F30 flat cars were all cast, but they had wooden decks on them. We've actually designed the car so the decks are removable. The decks are actually die cast, and if you want to kind of remove that and put a wood deck, you can just pull that one off and plop a wood deck right in place there. They're a neat little car, and they lasted for a long time. I believe the first ones were built in like 37. Trailer Train got them in the 70s, 60s, 70s. I've actually seen pictures of them in TT yellow right into like 1986, 87. But even cooler, BN and Conrail actually ended up with them in maintenance away. BNSF still uses them. We're talking like 70-year-old flat cars. They're that kind of a neat little model. So pretty much.
So and there's three types that you guys are doing. The A, which is just a flat car. The D, which is a flat car but with the sides. And then a G, which is basically the equivalent to like a piggyback, right?
Exactly. There's the earlier piggyback as well. You'll see the two little stakes on the side of the car. That was, I believe, a 1954 or 57 modification. That was for some trailers that Pennsylvania had they were using for early TOFC service. And then, of course, later they rebuilt them again in the late 50s. Some of them got rebuilt into that later design where you have like the little railings on the side. You've got the full hitches and everything, and ramps. And they lasted for decades. Like you could see them into the 80s. So a lot of use for those cars.
They're really neat little cars, to be honest with you. And some of them do come with loads, but there was no pictures that were shown yet of what type of loads that you guys will be having, right?
Stay tuned.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, exactly.
I hope it didn't ruin announcements, by the way.
Not at all.
But it said it in the newsletter, so I felt that it was fine.
Oh yeah, no, we put it in the last newsletter that there will be something. We just actually, the funny thing is we were just so busy. I think we just ran out of time. So we just said, you know what, we'll give it a couple more weeks, and we'll let everybody see what it is very soon. So look for that announcement of something or other very shortly.
So now they obviously they haven't gone into production yet, but you guys are still waiting on numbers just to see how many of the road names and whatnot that you guys will be doing. Anything there that's at risk right now, or is everything still on track, as they say, for production?
I think everything's done really well. I actually can't think of, other than the issues we had with the Metrolink, the Los Angeles Metrolink and the Trinity F59s. Other than that, everything's really been quite successful. We've got a lot of our older projects that were kind of on hold for ages. We're getting caught up on that. The FL9s that we announced like 5 years ago, they should be leaving the factory in a couple of weeks, so we should be seeing them in January. All these kind of back burner projects are getting caught up and into production. So things have been pretty good lately.
Between those and the stainless baggage dorm and the Manor, these are very solid cars to have, especially like you said. They're part of the Canadian set. You guys won't be doing a box set of the Canadian again, but it still gives everybody an opportunity to collect piece by piece, especially because, you're looking at about $130 a car, roughly, give or take. So it's a lot easier on the wallet.
Yep. I think that's the MSRP on them, but again, a lot of the stores do offer discounts, so you just have to check with your favorite retailer for that. But even with those, we've done some design upgrades to those. So like the Angus van and the Bombardier cars, we're doing the all new lighting system in those. So we got the micro SMD light boards. So that compared to the old runs, we've got the upgraded lighting kits in all the Bud cars now.
Let's see. So I'm going through the chat here a little bit.
Sure.
We've got, obviously some requests, of course, for like Toronto, Hamilton, and Buffalo. The Confederation train, which I thought that was a huge project.
There were specific reasons why that had to be shelved, mostly to do with the tooling. A lot of the tooling from our old factory was really rough, and we're going back to like the CCNF, the smooth side coaches, and a lot of the old sleepers. The tooling just isn't very good. It's really worn out, and the problem was the Confederation train was made up mostly with these cars. So unfortunately, we had to can that one. It wasn't what we wanted, but it was what it was. I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago we had to cancel that one, reluctantly, of course.
And even with the steam car too, right? Which now is coming out.
Yep.
So,
well, we
still get the steam car. So,
well, we're working with the factory to get a lot of those old toolings back up to snuff. So, like I said, we've got the steam car coming. We're working on the Canadian Bud cars. That's in the works, and there will be more. It'll take time, but there will be more coming out. A lot of older stuff will be coming back.
Now, obviously, you guys have done a lot of custom work as well for shops and whatnot.
Yep.
I've got a question for the Northlander dude. He wants to know how many cars roughly that you would need to do if he wanted to do a custom run of the Go Transit cab cars, the bi-levels. Is there a minimum order? Or is that something that
if it's based on the existing tooling? It depends. It depends on what it is. Generally, we like to see. Don't quote me on this, but it could be anywhere from 150, 300 pieces. And again, it depends if this is a locomotive or a passenger car or a freight car. Or if it has to be like an all new paint scheme, like if it's a paint scheme that we're not doing, or if it's just like a modification of an existing paint scheme, that's easier to do. But yeah, we like to go through like a lot of dealers. We'll do like we'll actually be talking about that in our newsletter tomorrow. A lot of the dealer exclusive runs that we do. I know Otter Valley has the Chop Nose RS18s, I think Trillium and something else, just off the top of my head. And there's a few other ones. We'll be talking about that in our newsletter tomorrow. But yeah, definitely there's always room for exclusives.
Now, so I'm just going to go through the lists here. These are a bunch of cars. They might be in production. They might be in the paint shop. I'll list them off. You tell me, well, everybody, where they're basically at, and what the go time is basically for these. So the wide Angus vans. What are we looking at right now for these?
So we just closed the order deadline on those in the middle of October, or was that No, that was middle of November. So that's probably gonna get into production. I think they're just early on that now. I believe it won't be before it'll probably be the end of winter, maybe spring before those arrive. They've still got a couple of retoolings that they're working on, kind of cleaning up the old tooling, and of course the new design for the light board. So the big thing is Chinese New Year. Unfortunately, they close basically the country closes for a month. So that's always, I think this year it's February. So that kind of there's a period of time when nothing comes out for a while. But those vans, I think they'll probably come after Chinese New Year, probably sometime in the spring.
Cool. And the RS18Us.
Tooling is underway. I think the tooling's almost done. I think we'll probably see the first samples in the winter. Production probably won't be till probably mid next year. We'll be looking at those. Maybe next fall they'll be arriving, which is about right. I mean, it's about usually from announcement to arrival, it's about a year, roughly, depending on the project again.
And now you might have mentioned this earlier, but the USA F40 later phase locomotives.
Yep. So they're just about to start production on those. So we're looking at probably late spring. That's a little bit closer. Yeah.
So a lot of people are going to be seeing, like, as soon as March, April, May hit, you can see a more. Yeah. Cool.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Definitely.
The X31A box cars.
Mm-hmm. That we also just closed. 2 weeks ago, I think. So that's probably going to be probably like a spring, maybe late spring, just roughly.
The steam cars.
Those probably will be sometime maybe late winter. Yeah.
Like this winter or
this coming winter? Yep. So probably maybe March, maybe April. I know they've already started working on that. Actually, I can go through over I'll go over the stuff that's kind of coming right now.
Okay. Yeah, if that's easier.
Oh yeah. So pretty much in terms of delivery, the New Haven 8600 series coaches are shipping out right now. The Amtrak Horizon cars are in Canada. They're due next week in the warehouse. After that, we've got the Canadian F7Bs, the F9Bs are due end of December. They've actually already left the factory. And the next one is the FL9s and the M420s. So the CN M420Ws, they're almost done on production on those too. We should see those leaving the factory before the end of the year. So we're looking January, maybe end of January for all those to arrive. And that's kind of what we've got in production. We've also got the wood reefers, the GARX reefers are in production as well. So they'll probably be arriving before the middle of winter. So that's kind of where we're sitting in terms of deliveries right now. The rest, they kind of get a little bit more fuzzy after that. But anything that we've got the order deadline passed and closed, probably late winter to late spring in terms of an arrival date. And we think the website too. So.
And the buses as well. The buses are probably in the paint shop as well, right?
I almost forgot about those. The buses are I think they're getting close to being finished. We posted some paint shop photos of those in the last newsletter. Probably over the winter, maybe January, February, they should arrive. I know the buses are interesting because there's so much paint work that they have to do. The assembly is not the big part. It's the painting and the tampoing and adding all the letters. So that's actually takes a lot of time for them to produce those, but we're getting pretty close on those.
And now Rapido has done a number of things that aren't trains or aren't cars, like the switch machines, very neat. Mm-hmm. If we get into our time machine here, we go back and we get the totally wired telephone poles.
Mm-hmm. That's one.
Will we ever?
It's that we haven't run. I think it's been like 10 years now. It was like 2010 or 11 the last time they were out. I think it was around then. We want to do those again. I don't know if they'll be totally wired, but they're on our list of things. Kind of been in the back of our minds, but it's on the radar. I should remind the guys.
That totally answers that question.
I'll bring it up in our meeting tomorrow morning. We actually have a production meeting every day. Monday to Thursday we have a production meeting. Then we have a full team meeting every Friday. So we always bounce around ideas when we do those.
That's cool. Yeah, that's something that I would have thought you'd see more of, or at least it would have continued right through. They looked amazing. Like I had actually seen some on a shelf in a train store. Yep. I can't remember how long ago it was, and I'm like, why is there not more of these? Because when people go to build a layout, obviously you want some, right?
Yeah, that was back when we didn't utilize that factory for a while. It was, I think it was 4 or 5 years we moved on to the other factories, but we are working with them like I said, with a lot of the Bud cars, the steam jetties, the cabooses, that's all stuff from the old factory. We're working with them to bring those toolings back. So very, very likely the telephone poles can return as well.
Did I miss anything? Is there any other models here that I might have forgot? What's your favorite model? That is it biased to say the Turboliner, even though it hasn't been done yet? But
if we're talking about Rapido models, it will be. I have another model that I've kind of got. I'm working on right now. That it's something totally different that we've never tried before. So we'll be probably announcing that next year sometime. But that's one that I've been really pushing for. But I just can't say what it is yet. And I don't know.
Totally
There's
understandable.
a lot of stuff. Like even in terms of models, like I really like my Athearn stuff. Like I think I've showed these off before. Like I love the Athearn, like the SDP 40Fs. Pretty much anything Athearn, I have tons of that stuff. So, like I said, my office, just racks of Athearn and Bowser. We were talking about that before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that, I mean, besides all the Rapido that I have, I mean, my close second has to be Bowser for sure, just because of the detail and whatnot that they do. Like, they just don't produce as much as most other companies, which is unfortunate, but at the same time,
Yeah, like I love their Alcos, the C636s, the C425s. I've got a whole bunch of the Conrail ones, the Penn Centrals. They're terrific engines. So.
And the barns that they do. Solid locomotive.
I forgot I had one of those too. Beautiful models.
Which one do you have? Is it a CP one or is it?
I have one of the CPs, not from the new run, but it was from the first run. I can't remember the number. I got to fish that out somewhere. But they're really nice. And some of course, the SD40-2s, they get just the regular -2s. They're really, really nice, stunning models.
Now, when it comes to the locomotives themselves, like when you're producing something, is it based off of, okay, well, I mean, this locomotive, we can do this locomotive, and these are the names that ran the locomotive. We can potentially do all these, so let's do something like that. Or is there something else behind that specific locomotive, maybe something sentimental that might push you to want to do that?
A little of both. So we actually have, we have like 3 locomotive projects that we haven't announced yet. And for one of them, we're actually just kind of in the early phase of kind of deciding what we're going to do with it. It's like everyone's like, this is the road name I want. So it's like, these are the road names I want. These road names this guy wants, someone else wants. And we just kind of say, this is what we want to see. What do we think would be the best? What would be a good seller for a first run, let's say? And everyone kind of puts in their favorites of what they want to see, and we go from there. And of course, it's more complicated than that too, because you got to get into like tooling. Like, you don't want to tool like too many different variations. Like if you can take like a basic locomotive and then make variations on that without having like all new bodies and stuff like that. Although we do tend to do that with a lot of the stuff. Like the PAs, for example, which we actually should have those samples in a few weeks. So going off on
so even something like the F40, right? Like when you do the Canadian compared to the American, obviously there's certain little changes that you guys can do, but you guys have gotten to the point where you do like a plastic shell with brass etchings to it, and depending on the road number and whatnot, it will differ how you're going to put those extra add-on parts, right?
Well, in terms of the F40s in particular, I think even between the two, just between the Amtrak and the VIA units, there's almost nothing that's the same. The bodies, like the body panels, the battery boxes, even roof hatches, the type of fans, they're totally unique in some cases. Everything, horns, air conditioners, grab iron placements, it all changes. So in a situation like that, it would have to be an all new shell. Almost nothing you can carry over. Maybe parts of the chassis, the weight, the motor system, but everything else pretty much has to change to go around it. But there is some modular aspects to that, particularly like with the RS18s and the 11s.
So do you find that you're more likely to do something that well, we have the kit to do it, right? So we can build it, and then it's just a matter of, in some cases, doing a different paint scheme, or move this grab iron here. Or would you say, well, let's do something totally different and let's retool, or let's do a whole new tooling? I saw a question there for the MP40, right? Now that Go Transit, you're basically got the green light for that. The MP40 is a good runner-up with something for you guys. And it's such an awesome locomotive that you do see a lot.
We do get a lot of requests for that too.
Yeah. Probably mostly from me. If you check your inbox every single day, you're gonna get a Chris email.
Yeah, or an email from a slightly different name every time.
Yeah, I'll do that. Sometimes I make multiple email accounts.
Yeah,
and I'll send you an email under Joe and so.
That happens all. I'm sure that's probably half the emails we get are just people using fake names, but that's okay. Either way. That was like, I don't know if you remember Postcard Guy from that we put it with the M420W. So this guy, we had no idea who he was, and he would email us with a fake name. He would talk to us. We had no idea who he was, but he sent postcards for like 2 years. I still have the stack. I have like 200 postcards in my office, just begging us to do an M420W until we actually ended up doing it. And then after,
did the postcard stop?
Eventually, I got a last postcard with a big thank you on the back, and then I think it was about a week or two later after that, he finally emailed me and revealed who he was. So because he was using a fake name the whole time, that's lots of fun. I mean, it makes for a good story.
And one of the other questions that a lot of people ask is, what happened with the the Prime Mover series?
Well, that was like I said before. That was the Dash 8 and the well car and container. That was going to be a train set back in 2014 or 15. It was also when we moved away from the train set idea, because it turned out it would have been way too expensive for most people. I mean, who's going to buy a $600 HO freight set or train set once you put all the parts together? So we split all the different parts up, and it wasn't a totally high-end model. They weren't high-end like normal Rapido models with all the detail. So they were marketed as this kind of somewhat of a discount line, and they did well, but we realized just by the volume of the sales, if we'd done those models, the Dash 8 in particular, as a high-end model, we would have probably sold the same numbers. So that's actually something we're interested in doing. I know Jason's kind of talked about that in the past, is giving the Dash 8 a do-over. So that's something we're interested in doing at some point in time. So don't be surprised if that shows up at some time.
I've seen a little bit of both. I've seen people who took it upon themselves to enhance what you guys gave us, which is awesome, because that's when your skill comes out, and it really shows the level of modelers that are out there, which is awesome. And then there's the Joes like me who are like, well, I don't mind buying it if it's already done, right? And just, ready to run and all that. Either way, without the details or with all the bells and whistles, for sure. So I think that's either way, it's a win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's definitely room for that in the market. And I mean, we'll always maybe kind of evaluate that again. Maybe we'll do some more kind of basic models, similar to like N scale. There's a lot we can do at N scale without kind of going absolutely nuts with every separate grab iron and piece of conduit under a car. So there's lots of ideas we could do there too.
Could you ever see Rapido doing any other scale, Z scale, possibly?
Not really. I mean, we get the questions once in a while. Problem is, we don't really have any modelers that do that kind of thing, and it is a very, especially with like 2-rail O scale and S and Z. It's niche. So, I mean, Microtrains does a lot of that stuff in Z. They've kind of cornered the market with that. There's a few other small producers. Maybe there's a market we just don't know about. It's possible, but it's just that we're not modelers in that area, so it's kind of difficult to see. But we do get a lot of requests for doing some stuff like doing buses on a larger scale or something like that, or even on a smaller scale.
That's neat. You guys have done quite the selection of different models and whatnot over the years, with plenty more on the way. It sounds there's no stopping you guys, is there?
2021 is going to be a very busy year. Very, very busy.
Well, hopefully things change for the better out there. I mean, I know a lot of people are stuck at home, but they're busy working away on their models or working on their railroads. And you guys are still going strong, which is great, because you're giving everybody a lot to work on and work towards, and I think it's great. I think you guys are doing super, and being a Canadian company and all. I mean, right off the bat, you got my win. You know what I mean? It's been an awesome. Every single model that you guys have put out to a T, perfection. And I couldn't be any more thrilled with the models that I've purchased from you guys over the years, and definitely many more years of success ahead of you guys for sure.
Oh, absolutely. So it's an exciting time, to say the least. So.
But where do you guys go from here? Like, you guys, you're just gonna business as usual, right? You go in there Monday morning, have your meeting, and that's it. You make magic happen, right?
Yeah. Well, we got some pretty exciting things going on. We're really, I mean, we're always going to be in the Canadian market, but we're really expanding into the U.S. I think we have more toolings coming out right now than anybody in the compared to the U.S. guys. I mean, they make great models, but we've got so much stuff coming out. We're really jumping into the UK market again. I think we're relaunching the UK market very shortly. We've got lots of models coming for in the 00 kind of area of things. So that's going to be pretty big. We've actually got a whole new operation opening in the UK, new people. So that's really fun.
And that's sort of with the British bus that you guys had done, right?
Yep.
And you guys do well over there? I mean, even with the Canadian or American stuff over there as well, or do they specifically just want?
It's a little bit of both, but we're really kind of the UK market is unique. We've kind of cracked it open a bit with some of our other stuff. Like, aside from the bus, we've got like the Sterling Single, which is this kind of really cool. I can't remember what the year. It's like a 222 locomotive or something like that. But we've actually made a few really neat models, like the APTs, and we've got a whole bunch of new stuff that's actually planned for that kind of that whole market for them. So that's and the Canadian stuff is big over there too. There actually is quite a good market. We're pretty optimistic about that, especially now that Brexit's kind of settling down. It really kind of threw a wrench in a lot of our plans for the last couple of years, but it's really kind of a cool time to be looking at that stuff.
No, because we're on the topic of overseas, I just remembered the D10. But before I get to the D10, or is it 12? 10? D10. Okay. Before I get to the D10, Australian market, where do we stand there?
Not something we know a lot about. The Australian market seems to have, I mean, there's some, like they have their own kind of manufacturers. I think there's like Ossision and stuff like that. It's not really, like, in terms of the actual trains, it's not something we really know about. The thing that's been really fortunate about the British market is like Bill and some of our new guys that we haven't really talked about yet. We've got a lot of UK modelers in the company. So that's, and even Jason lived there for years when he was in school. So we do have kind of, a lot of the guys do have a knowledge of that market. Whereas in Australia, it's not really something we know a lot about. We did do some RDCs about 3-4 years ago, the Commonwealth RDCs. But aside from that, not too much that we're planning on right now anyway. But who knows, that could change. Anything's possible.
it's just one of those ones I always see pop up. There's there's at least one every time asking about Australian stuff. So they've got some really neat. Like I don't know if you ever watched those. What was it called? The heavy machines. Jason was on for the Canadian show. The episode.
I missed that one. I think I know the one you're talking about, but I don't think I saw it myself.
But the Australian stuff is really neat too.
And a lot of the stuff was like North American licensed, but to Australian designs, like double-ended crazy E units and stuff like that. I'm not going to pretend like I know what their designations are, but they have some really neat stuff over there.
Okay, D10. I keep forgetting about it. Mighty Trains. There you go. Ooh.
Yeah, that's the one.
That would have hurt my head all night. I wouldn't have been able to get to sleep tonight. I don't know if that ever happens, but yeah, Mighty Trains. Anyway, D10. So let's talk about the D10 for a minute because what's the status first of all on the D10?
So I had some of those images up there earlier. I don't know if I can share them again or not. Maybe I can.
People come and go, so it's.
Let me see if I can share those images. They're just. Is that up there right now?
Yeah, I got a little pop up here. Here we go. So this is for the people who have just joined us recently here. If you weren't here earlier, we got some pictures for you.
So this isn't much to look at right now, but this is that's the tenders. This is the first injection samples that the factory has sent us. These are just the photos. We actually don't have the models yet, but that's the tenders. You can see a lot of the chassis for the D10. If I can move the photo over here. So there's all the different boilers. We got multiple variations. This is an all die-cast boiler. It will be on a die-cast. So you can see the die-cast boiler. There's the die-cast chassis. So those we are hoping to get samples. I don't know if it'll be before the end of the year because they're going to have to assemble these or at least send the injection samples to us. But we will be getting those in the next probably 6 to 8 weeks. And if they're working, we're going to hopefully have a sample painted up by maybe early midwinter. This is a project that's been a long time coming. I know we actually announced this kind of soft launched with the rest of our Steam projects back in 2015. And we formally announced it, I guess, about a year or so ago. So this is exciting to finally see this coming along.
I believe it was one of the Christmas Day announcements.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Now this, interestingly, we announced the two different steam locomotives on the same day. So the CPD10s, we announced CNH6 460s the same day, and they've been the sales have just not materialized for those, which is really disappointing. I think maybe we were talking about that before, a model that's been disappointing, and that would be the H6s. I think we're still about 30% short of where we need to be to start tooling on that project. A lot of it was designed, but it just until those numbers perk up, we can't do much about it, unfortunately.
It just didn't take off like the Hudson or what?
Yeah, the Hudson was highly successful. And speaking of the Hudson, we I don't know when, but we will be doing that standard Hudson, the 2816 version. That's probably not too far away.
A lot of people ask for the cars too. It's a tough one, you know.
Yep. 2200 series coaches, the CP kind of those rounded side cars. We had a lot of requests for those. They were basically before the Canadian showed up. They were the backbone of they were the newest thing that CP had. Those, and you had the Grove sleepers and all those baggage cars and horse cars. There's a lot you can do with that. But that's the problem. It's a CP car. They did make their way other places like the Algoma Central, but apart from that, it's kind of, we're not sure. But I think that'll probably come around at some point.
That's cool.
Yep.
We've talked about quite a bit here tonight, and obviously I don't want to keep you too long. I've been having a blast. I don't know about you, but
I'm having fun. I haven't even looked at the clock. I didn't even realize how late it was.
I'm super sorry. Usually we go for like an hour to an hour and a half sometimes. But I mean, we have so much to talk about, and obviously, like we're big train people, and we could go on for days if we want. I can't talk about this stuff with my family because then they tell me to get out of the room, basically. So whenever I have the opportunity to talk to somebody who is as big of a train guy as me, or even more so, it's definitely fun to get it all out of the system for sure.
Yeah. And that's one of the fun parts of being here is you can just talk about trains with everybody, like all day, as long as we're getting our work done, of course. But talk trains around the office. It's part of the job.
Yeah, it's true. So just for the people in the chat, obviously who are watching, GVO After Dark is a once a month live show that I do on the last Thursday of every month, along with Mark, who's M&M Rails, and Dave 88, and together we do the Third Rail Thursdays. And basically every Thursday night, 8 o'clock, we've always got something special for you. And next week we've got Dave over on his channel, so Dave 88. And the following week it's going to be M&M Rails. I know he's got some tricks up his sleeve. Now, because next month obviously is December, there's a Thursday that rolls on Christmas Eve, and the following Thursday is New Year's Eve. So we're just going to do the GVO After Dark on the 17th. It's going to be a Christmas special. Every year I do a Christmas special, and basically, we're going to talk trains and whatnot. All the more announcements of other products that are coming out. Obviously, whatever Jordan's going to give us tomorrow in our monthly mail from Rapido, I'm going to talk about that as well. Get excited, everybody, because the holiday season is right around the corner. Time to give gifts, and nothing says I love you like the gift of trains, for sure.
Exactly.
But
And,
Jordan, go ahead.
Christmas this year. We got some interesting things to reveal. So
super excited. It's probably, I don't even I've got kids, so I look forward to Christmas for them. But when it comes to the selfish side of me, it's like I'm waiting for that email. I wake up Christmas morning and I'm like 12 again,
Yeah.
So I'm just waiting for that email to come in.
Yep. It's our little tradition. We get that email ready to go, and we always have some fun stuff for Christmas Day.
But I truly want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your day here to spend some time with us, chat about trains, and let us know how everything's going.
Definitely. Looking forward to doing it again, actually.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I'll let you know. If you ever have anything new that's coming, well, I mean, if anybody's going to know, it's going to be you. If you get some new product in or whatever, or hey, if you want to do a live where you're working on the layout there, because I know that you said that you're going to build a layout in shop there.
Yep.
So I'm excited. I want to see how you're going to do this thing. I'm sure there's people in the chat that would love to see it as well. So definitely make sure you're sharing that, because we'll definitely follow along for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, we're hoping to get that underway. We'll probably wait till after Christmas now, but want to get some bench work started. I'm going to actually have the layout plan is it's going to come right across my desk, going right to the wall here. So I get to have a layout like 1 foot from my computer here, which is going to be really neat.
And that's on purpose too. I mean, with me, because I'm stuck working at home, I don't really have an office. As you can see, like my layout's behind me, but it goes right around the room.
Yeah.
And on the other side, because there's a wall here of which is bench work, I have put my computers on the other side, but it's on the bench work. Yeah. And the track rolls right by me. Nice. And it's not the way it was designed in any way, but because I started building my Helix, I was working inside my Helix on my computer for like 2 months there, and I had to move because now I'm building up. So now I'm right in my bench work over here now, and yeah, the train rolls by and I'm working, taking calls and stuff. It's great. Don't tell my boss, but definitely it's awesome to have that incorporated in your everyday work. It's awesome.
Yep, for sure.
Oh man.
And I can get Jason to pay for it too. So
See, there you go. It's a write-off.
Exactly.
The biggest perks to working for a railroad company, like or like manufacturer of trains and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
it's a lot of fun. So.
But yeah, no, it's been a blast. I really appreciate you coming out here tonight, and I hope the questions weren't too daunting or anything like that. And
oh no.
Just try to have a natural feel behind it, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't want to. It's nice just to have it kind of have the questions flow.
You know, it's funny because I was joking around with one of my friends, because sometimes when you're watching these, and it's not just Rapido that does lives where you guys talk about new product and whatnot. There's other companies, and you'll ask a question, and it gets overlooked. And sometimes, you know, you get to the point where you're like, you know what, I'm gonna hold a live, and I'm gonna have one of their guys come on here, and I'm gonna ask them all the questions that I've been trying to get answered for a long time, you know. And that's kind of what I did. But you're super easy to talk to. Do you want to hear a funny story? A very funny story?
Sure.
We'll end this thing soon, but I'm going to tell you a funny story first. So I find Jason very intimidating because he's such a cool guy. You know what I mean? And I went to one of your barbecues. Well, I've been to a couple.
Oh, yeah.
And I was walking from one end of the office there to the other end, and he was walking right towards me. Mm-hmm. I made eye contact with him, and I literally died on the inside. I'm like, there's nothing I can say right now that'll be even as cool as anything that he has ever done. Yeah. And I just, nope. That's me in a nutshell right there. Yeah, cool guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, how do you work with him and those pants?
The pants are definitely. We make fun of him. How can you not? I mean, we wear bell bottoms. Seriously. Other than
he pulls it off though. I don't know how, but he does it.
I'm not really sure, but yeah, it just kind of it suits his personality. But yeah, I couldn't pull that off. I don't think anybody could. Not these days, anyway.
I think it's the time that he spent overseas in Britain, right? Do you think that had a huge influence on his, we'll call it swagger?
I think in his mind, he lived in Britain back in 1974. So
I think he stayed there.
Probably.
Or at least a piece of him, anyways.
Exactly.
All right, we'll call this thing. We'll wrap it up here.
All right, we've been doing two and a half hours. That's pretty good. I think this is the longest live stream I've done.
This is the longest I've done too. But again, solid. Thank you so much for doing this. It's totally awesome.
Honestly, and next time you want me back on, just give me a heads up, and I'm in for it. So. For sure.
I'm definitely gonna take you up on it. We'll get Andrew Chuck in here as well. We're gonna get him going.
Yeah, yes, he enjoyed that. We can talk about buses and go-karts.
Oh, and to everybody in the chat, thank you so much for joining us. For those of you who stuck around for the 2.5 hours, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, like, you guys are amazing for such troopers. Must be doing something right, I guess. So, to all you guys, stay safe, stay indoors. Today is also Thanksgiving for our American friends.
It is. Well.
So happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
I also have to say, I have to say thanks to Bobby, our new guy. He came over from Atlas actually earlier this year. He's down in New Jersey, and he actually spent half of his Thanksgiving getting this newsletter ready for tomorrow. So we need to thank him for that.
He's quite the character himself.
He is. If you watch the F40 video, he pulled off kind of an X-Files thing there, which was really awesome.
Yeah. Actually, the last video I saw with him was the live that he did with all the manufacturers. And at one point, it seriously looked like he nodded off. So I got in the show. I was like, Bobby, wake up.
He's a good guy, though.
And then you see, he just does one of those. Uh,
Oh yeah.
anyways, so I'll drop you down there for a minute. Hang around. We'll
All right.
chat for a minute. And
Sounds good.
thank you so much. Do you have anything left for everybody here?
Well, I'll just say, well, thank you for having me. This has been a lot of fun, and look out for our next newsletter very soon.
Super early, like tomorrow morning, right?
I wouldn't say super early in the morning, but sometime in the morning, later in the morning. watch your emails.
Watch your emails, everybody.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much, Jordan.
You're welcome. Glad I could do this.
Oh, we'll see you soon.
All right. Thanks a lot. Bye now.
Guys, thank you so much for sticking around. Again, in 1 week, we've got Dave88 over on his channel. Season 1 opener, everybody. It's all uphill from here, I guess. they only get better. They only get better, I promise. But yeah, it was a blast hanging out with you guys, hanging out with Jordan, and super excited for next month's show. So stick around. We've got lots more for you. But until next month, I've got a train to catch, and it's Christmas. Christmas is coming, so stay tuned for that. I'll see you guys later. Bye.